Welcome back to Prime Wealth. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Alex. We're so glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, today we have a really exciting topic to dive into. It's all about minimalism and money. You know, the idea that sometimes less stuff can actually lead to more wealth?
Exactly. It's kind of a refreshing perspective, right? We often think more things equal more happiness, but that's not always the case.
Totally. So today we're going to explore how embracing minimalism can not only simplify your life, but also improve your financial situation.
We'll talk about practical steps you can take to declutter your space and your finances, too.
Right. And we'll share some real-life examples of people who've made this shift and seen some amazing results.
Plus, we'll touch on how minimalism can help you prioritize what truly matters, which can also lead to better financial decisions.
Yes, and hopefully inspire you to think about your own relationship with stuff and money. It's all about creating the life you want, right?
Absolutely. So, if you're ready to uncover how less can truly mean more, stick with us.
Let's jump right in. So Alex, I've been thinking a lot about minimalism lately and how it relates to money, especially for folks over 40. You know, it feels like we're at this stage in life where we're kind of reevaluating what really matters.
Absolutely, Jordan. I mean, as we age, we often find ourselves surrounded by, well, a lot of stuff, right? And sometimes that stuff can feel overwhelming. It's like, the more we accumulate, the less we actually enjoy any of it.
Yes. It's like we think more things will make us happier, but then we end up stressed out about maintaining all of it. You know, I read that Americans over 40 are actually more likely to feel overwhelmed by their possessions. It's wild.
Right? And there's this statistic that shows people in that age group often feel tied down by their belongings. It's almost like they're carrying this invisible weight. And when you think about it, it makes sense. We've got kids, careers, maybe aging parents to care for.
Exactly, and that can lead to this feeling of being stretched too thin. But here's the thing, minimalism can really help with that. It's about simplifying, focusing on what truly adds value to our lives.
Yes, and I think it's crucial, especially now when we're seeing trends where people are prioritizing experiences over possessions. I mean, look at how travel has become this big thing again. People want to invest in memories rather than just stuff.
Right. And I think for those of us over 40, it's also about legacy. We start thinking, what do I want to leave behind? And often, it's not a bunch of gadgets or clothes, but rather the experiences and lessons we've shared.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've had clients who realize that after doing some decluttering, they felt lighter, more focused. It's like, once they let go of the excess, they had more energy to pursue what they really loved.
That's such a great point. I've heard stories of people who downsized their homes and suddenly they had the freedom to travel more or take up new hobbies. It's like shedding the physical weight allowed them to embrace life more fully.
Exactly. And let's not forget about the financial aspect. When you minimize your belongings, you often find you're spending less on things you don't need. It's a way to save money without feeling like you're sacrificing anything important.
Yes. And for people over 40 who might be thinking about retirement or saving for their kids, college, it can be a game changer. You can redirect that money toward investments or experiences that truly matter.
Right. And I think there's also an emotional component here. A lot of people feel tied to their possessions because they represent memories or past phases in life. Letting go can be hard, but it can also be incredibly liberating.
Oh, definitely. I remember my aunt went through this process after her kids moved out. She found it tough to part with their old toys, but when she did, she felt this weight lift off her shoulders. It was a fresh start for her.
That's a perfect example. And this kind of emotional release can open the door to new opportunities. It's about making room in our lives, not just physically, but emotionally and financially too.
And I think the timing is crucial. With everything going on in the world right now, economic uncertainty, shifting priorities, it's a wake-up call for many of us to rethink our relationship with money and possessions.
Yes! You know, during the pandemic, we saw a lot of people reevaluating their lives. Many realized they didn't need all that stuff to feel fulfilled. They started focusing on what truly brought joy.
Exactly. And that shift can lead to better financial decisions, especially as we head into the later stages of our careers. It's about finding that balance between enjoying life now and planning for the future.
Right. And I think for those over 40, it's also about understanding that it's never too late to embrace minimalism. You can start small, maybe with one room or even one drawer. Every little bit helps.
Yeah, and it's about creating a life that reflects your values. You want to surround yourself with things that inspire you, not things that drain your energy.
Exactly. And speaking of energy, when you clear out the clutter, it can actually boost your productivity. You'll find you can focus better on the things that matter most, whether that's work, passions, or spending time with family.
Oh, for sure. And it's a great way to model healthy habits for the next generation. Teaching our kids the value of experiences over material things can set them up for a better financial future too.
Yes. And it's empowering to take control of your financial future by simplifying your life. It's about making intentional choices that align with your goals, whether that's saving for retirement, traveling, or just enjoying the little things.
Absolutely, Alex. So for our listeners, I think the key takeaway here is that minimalism isn't just about decluttering your space. It's about decluttering your financial life too.
Exactly. And as we move into the next part of our conversation, let's dive into some practical strategies for embracing minimalism while enhancing your financial well-being.
Sounds great. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Prime Wealth. Today we're diving into a really interesting topic, minimalism and money. So Alex, minimalism isn't just about decluttering our homes, right?
Exactly, Jordan. It's really about simplifying our lives, and that includes our finances. When we think about minimalism, it's like asking ourselves what truly adds value to our lives.
Yeah, I love that. So where do we even start? I mean, it can feel overwhelming to think about both decluttering our stuff and our finances.
Totally. And I get that. A good first step is to evaluate your expenses. Just like we go through our closets, we should do the same with our budgets. So grab your last 3 months of bank statements.
And look at where your money's actually going, right?
Exactly. You want to identify the expenses that don't serve you. I often suggest marking them. Like, highlight the things you love and maybe put a little star next to the ones you can live without.
That sounds like a practical approach. It's like a financial inventory.
Yes. And once you've done that, you can think about cutting back on the non-essential expenses. Maybe it's that subscription service you forgot you even had.
Oh man, I have a few of those. So what's next after we identify those expenses?
Well, after cutting back, you can focus on simplifying your savings. Instead of having multiple accounts, try consolidating them. Maybe just one for emergencies, one for savings goals.
That makes sense. Less to manage, right? And what about debt?
Good question. So when it comes to debt, minimalism can actually help you prioritize. Start with the debts that have the highest interest rates. Pay those off first, right?
Yeah, that's the avalanche method, isn't it? And it's motivating to see those balances go down faster.
Exactly. And then, once you've tackled those, you can focus on the smaller debts. That's the snowball method. Both strategies are effective, just different approaches based on what motivates you.
So it's really about finding what works for you personally, but I guess it's also about being intentional with your spending moving forward, right?
Absolutely. One rule I like to share is the 30-day rule. If you're thinking about buying something, wait 30 days before making that purchase. You might find that the urge passes.
Oh, that's a good one. It gives you time to think about whether you really need it.
Right? And during that waiting period, you can ask yourself, does this align with my values? If it doesn't, then maybe it's time to let it go.
So what about lifestyle changes? Like, if someone's used to shopping for entertainment, how do they shift that mindset?
Great point. I suggest finding alternative activities that don't involve spending. Think about community events, nature walks, or even cooking at home with friends. These can be fun and fulfilling without the financial hit.
Yeah, I love that. It's all about creating experiences rather than accumulating stuff.
Exactly. And speaking of experiences, another strategy is to shift your focus from material possessions to investing in experiences. Research shows that experiences bring more lasting happiness than things.
So maybe instead of buying that new gadget, you could take a trip or try a new class?
Yes! And remember, when planning those experiences, budget for them, just like you would for a big purchase. This way, you're being intentional about your spending.
Okay, so we've talked about cutting back and being intentional. What about tracking our progress?
Tracking is key. There are apps out there, like Mint or YNAB. They can help you keep an eye on your spending and savings. Just make it a habit to check in regularly.
Right? It's about accountability, isn't it?
Definitely. And don't be too hard on yourself if you slip up. Minimalism isn't about perfection. It's about progress.
I love that. So Alex, what about the idea of enough? How do we know when we have enough?
Well, that's a personal journey, really. It's about defining what enough means for you. Is it a certain amount in savings, or is it having a debt-free lifestyle?
So it's about reflecting on what brings you joy and satisfaction.
Exactly. Take time to journal or have discussions with loved ones about your goals and what makes you feel fulfilled. That clarity will help guide your financial decisions.
And it's a good reminder that minimalism doesn't mean deprivation, right?
Yes, it's more about making space for what truly matters, which can lead to greater wealth, both financially and emotionally.
Wow, I feel like we've covered a lot. But let's not forget, there are common pitfalls people can fall into when embracing this minimalist approach, right?
Absolutely, Jordan. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you need to get rid of everything or feel guilty about your purchases.
Yeah, I can see how that could lead to frustration or burnout.
Exactly. It's about balance and finding what works for you. Remember, it's a journey, not a race.
Well, thanks, Alex. I think we've given our listeners some solid strategies to start simplifying their finances today.
My pleasure, Jordan. Looking forward to chatting about those pitfalls next time.
Me too. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. So, Alex, let's dive into the common pitfalls people face when they're trying to embrace minimalism in their finances. It's a great topic, but I think a lot of folks stumble on their journey, right?
Absolutely, Jordan. I mean, minimalism sounds appealing, but, it can be tricky. One common mistake is thinking minimalism means you have to get rid of everything, and that can lead to some regret.
Yeah, like people might toss out items that they actually need, or even worse, things that have sentimental value, right?
Exactly. I once had a client who was really gung-ho about decluttering. She sold a family heirloom, thinking it was just stuff. Later, she realized it wasn't just about the item itself, but the memories attached to it.
Oh no, that must have been tough for her. So how can people avoid that kind of mistake?
Well, I'd say it's important to differentiate between what you need and what you think you should get rid of. Take a moment to reflect on your items. Ask yourself, does this bring me joy, or do I actually use this?
Right. So it's not just about getting rid of things to be minimalist. It's about being intentional, I guess?
Exactly. And another pitfall is focusing too much on the aesthetic of minimalism. Like creating a perfectly curated space, but then you end up spending money on trendy items just to achieve that look.
Oh, I totally get that. It's like you think you're being minimalist, but you're actually just swapping one type of consumerism for another.
Yes, that's a classic trap. I had a friend who went all in on minimalist decor, but ended up buying expensive, trendy furniture that wasn't really practical for his lifestyle.
So he was kind of missing the point, huh?
Right. It's about functionality, too, not just aesthetics. Minimalism should serve your life, not complicate it further.
So what about the financial side of things? Are there common mistakes people make when they try to minimize their expenses?
Definitely. One big mistake is cutting costs in the wrong areas. Like, people might think, I'll stop eating out to save money, but then they forget about their health and end up spending more on takeout because they don't have time to cook.
Oh, wow. That's a great point. It's like you're saving in one area but losing in another, right?
Exactly. And sometimes people overlook their subscriptions. They might cut out a gym membership but forget about that streaming service they never use.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there. I had like 3 different music streaming subscriptions at one point.
Right? And it's so easy to lose track of those recurring expenses. A good practice is to regularly review your subscriptions and really assess if they add value to your life.
That's smart. What about impulse buying? I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, especially when trying to live minimally.
For sure, impulse buying can be a huge hurdle. When someone is trying to declutter and minimize their life, they might go on a shopping spree thinking, I'm going to buy only the essentials.
But then they end up with a whole bunch of essentials they don't really need.
Exactly. I had a client who was trying to adopt a minimalist lifestyle, but kept buying trendy clothes because she thought she needed to refresh her wardrobe.
Oh no, how did that turn out for her?
Well, she ended up with a closet full of clothes, many of which still had tags on them. It was a wake-up call when she realized she wasn't wearing half of what she bought.
That's so relatable. I think it's easy to get caught in that cycle of wanting to feel new and fresh, but it just adds clutter, right?
Yes, and recognizing the signs of this behavior is crucial. If you find yourself justifying a purchase by saying, it's on sale, or I deserve this, that's a red flag.
Wow, that's a good way to put it. It's almost like a little warning signal.
Exactly. And another pitfall is not having a plan in place. When you jump into minimalism without a clear strategy, it can feel overwhelming.
Oh, totally. It's like trying to declutter a room without knowing what to keep or toss.
Exactly. I recommend starting small. Maybe pick one area, like your closet or your kitchen, and set specific goals for what you want to achieve.
That makes sense. And what if someone feels stuck? Like, they want to be minimalist but don't know where to start?
Well, I'd say it's important to remember that minimalism is a journey, not a destination. Take your time, and it's okay to experiment.
So, like, if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world, right?
Absolutely. It's about learning from those experiences. If you realize you missed something you got rid of, it's a chance to understand your needs better.
I love that perspective. So it's about growth, not perfection.
Exactly. And as you go, you'll start to recognize what truly adds value to your life. And that's where the real wealth comes in.
Ah, that's a beautiful way to put it, Alex. So as we wrap up, what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
I'd say be mindful of your choices, embrace the process, and don't be afraid to reevaluate what minimalism means to you.
That's such great advice. Thanks, Alex. I think our listeners will find that really encouraging.
You're welcome, Jordan. Remember, it's all about finding balance and creating a life that feels right for you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned for our next segment, where we'll explore actionable steps to start your own minimalist journey. You won't want to miss it. So, Alex, we've talked about minimalism and how it can really free up not just physical space, but also mental space, right?
Absolutely, Jordan. It's amazing how decluttering can impact our finances and our overall well-being. But, some people might be wondering, okay, great, but where do I start?
Yeah, that's a big question. I mean, it can feel overwhelming, right? Like, do you just dive in and toss everything out?
Well, not exactly. It's better to think about it in smaller steps. Maybe start with one area, like a drawer or a closet. Just tackle it bit by bit.
That makes sense. And I've heard of this thing called the 30-day minimalism game. Have you heard of that?
I have. It's a fun challenge. So basically, you get rid of one item on the first day, 2 on the second, and so on. By the end of the month, you'll have let go of 465 items.
Wow, that's a lot. But, do you think people really need to aim that high?
Not at all. You can adjust it to fit your lifestyle. The goal is to create a habit of letting go. It's about progress, not perfection.
Right. And I think starting small can help build that confidence. So what are some practical actions folks can take right now?
Well, one immediate action could be to create a donate box or a sell box in your home. Just, a designated space for items you want to part with.
I love that. And every time you find something you don't use, you just toss it in there.
Exactly. And you could also set a goal for how often to go through that box. Maybe once a month to donate or sell what's in there.
Yeah, that sounds doable. And what about tools? Are there any apps or resources that could help?
Definitely. There are a few great apps out there. For example, Declutter lets you sell your old tech and media really easily.
Oh, I've heard of that. And what about books?
There are some fantastic books on minimalism. The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo is a classic. It's all about keeping what sparks joy, you know?
Right. And I think that mindset can translate to finances too, like only keeping what adds value to your life.
Exactly. And another book I really like is Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Greg McKeown. It emphasizes focusing on what really matters.
Sounds like a great read. And speaking of focus, what habits should our listeners work on to embrace minimalism in their finances?
Well, one habit is to practice mindful spending. Before you make a purchase, just take a moment to ask yourself if it's really necessary.
That's a good one. It's so easy to just buy something on impulse, isn't it?
Right? And another habit could be to regularly review your expenses. Maybe set aside time each month to go over your budget and see where you can cut back.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And if someone feels overwhelmed by their current expenses, what would you suggest?
I'd say start by identifying your non-essential expenses. You know, those subscriptions or memberships you don't really use.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that. I mean, I've had subscriptions I forgot about.
Exactly. And once you identify them, you can either cancel or reduce them, which can free up some cash for other priorities.
And that ties back into minimalism, doesn't it? It's about intentionally choosing where to put your money.
Yes, it's all about aligning your spending with your values. You might find that less really is more.
So to recap, we've talked about starting small, creating a donate box, using apps like Declutter, and building habits like mindful spending.
Right. And remember, it's a journey. You don't have to do it all at once. Just take one step at a time.
Exactly. And for anyone looking for more structured guidance, there are plenty of online courses and communities focused on minimalism and financial wellness.
Yes! Connecting with like-minded individuals can be so motivating. You know, sharing your goals can keep you accountable.
That's such a good point. And if anyone has questions or wants to share their journey, they can reach out to us.
Absolutely. We love hearing from our listeners.
So as we wrap up, just remember, every little bit counts. Embrace the process and find joy in less stuff and more wealth.
Well said, Jordan.
Thanks, Alex, and thank you all for joining us today on Prime Wealth. We'll catch you next time. Wow, Alex, what a great conversation today about minimalism and money. I think we really dug into some valuable insights.
Absolutely, Jordan. I mean, we touched on how less really can be more, right? Simplifying your life can lead to not just financial freedom, but also a clearer mind.
Yes, and that idea of focusing on experiences over things, it really resonates, especially as we get older, you know?
For sure. And we also talked about how creating a budget that aligns with your values can be a game changer. It's like, when you know what truly matters, it becomes easier to let go of the excess.
Exactly. And I loved how we emphasized that decluttering isn't just about stuff. It's also about your financial life. Reducing those unnecessary expenses can really open up opportunities.
Right. And the importance of setting financial goals that reflect your values. That's a key takeaway. It helps keep you motivated and on track.
Well, it's all about making intentional choices, right? So we hope everyone listening feels inspired to take that first step towards a more minimalist lifestyle and a wealthier future.
Definitely. And to our listeners, if you found this episode helpful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear how you're approaching minimalism and money.
And don't forget to share this with someone who's over 40. They might really benefit from these ideas.
Oh, and next time, we'll dive into the financial independence roadmap. It's going to be super exciting.
Yes, we'll explore how to create a clear, actionable plan for achieving financial independence. So don't miss it.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Remember, small steps can lead to big changes.
Absolutely. Take care, and we'll see you next time.